All right, y'all. What's happening, everybody? Here we go with another episode of 4050 Social Club. So excited to be here with you. I just got off the plane. Literally, my family and I, me and Boo and the daughter went to Atlanta to ATL to go experience HBCU weekend. So we representing across from this weekend. But I couldn't think about, man, we traveling through the airport. Literally just got home like about maybe 30 minutes ago. And passports were so critical for us to have when we were traveling. I was like, dang, we had to go through every terminal, everything. We had to make sure we had our passports, this whole real ID situation. And I couldn't help but think about passport bros, like seeing cats traveling and all this stuff. And it made me think about what we're going to talk about tonight. So we're going to talk about this whole passport bro situation that's happening globally, see what you think about it. But we're going to give you some of our perspective right here on 4050 Social Club.
Welcome one and all to another edition of the 4050 Social Club. We're a virtual forum that focuses on Black men and on helpful and healthy ways for us to transition successfully from our 40s into our 50s and beyond. We aim to do this by presenting about a wide variety of topics, from health, wealth, and spirituality, to relationships, to our professional lives and continuing aspirations, to quite simply and honestly just being a great human. As I've shared on several occasions, I wish there had been platforms like 4050 around when I was approaching and beginning to evolve into and through this particular life period. So we hope that you'll engage with us on this podcast as we add to the growing movement to support and to honor Black men. Jamian, our eagle-eyed visionary, Quest, our resident helper, and myself, CJ the Seeker, are excited to be here with you today for another injection of the 4050 Social Club. Let's get it.
All right, y'all, let's jump into it. All right, Quest, kick us off, man. Kick us off. Here we go.
I am definitely a passport bro. It is
okay.
Official, yo. So
I'm on my second one. So I feel you on
that. I'm on my second one too. I got my passport early. On, did some nice traveling. And now in my 50s, I've been kicking it up. I think, and I gotta be honest, since I think the age of 40, I probably have traveled more abroad between 40 and 45 than I have in my entire life. So it has been amazing to go overseas and just see how people are acting, but at the same time, to see us abroad. Now, I'll tell you a little story. I had a small stint down in Playa del Carmen, and that's Mexico for those of you that don't know. Now, I stayed there for probably about 3 months, and I was there with my partner, and we were just enjoying it. Now, she had stayed, in Playa for about a year, if not, longer than that, just her by herself. So you can think about, all of the Black experience that, was going on down there. And I want to shout out my girl Cece, who's down there with High Vibes, and they're just doing an amazing thing down there. And shout out to the whole community down there in Playa. I just had to shout them out because it's just an amazing Black community down there in Playa. And if you ever want to really feel at home, go down there and have a great experience. Okay, just back to it. I know that there were some young brothers out there, and they are still there right now, and they're single brothers, and they are having the time of their lives. I speak to these young men. A lot of them are making well over 6 figures, and they are just down there pretty much having a good time. A couple of them are married, but majority of the men that I know down there are not. They're either in some sort of ethical non-monogamous relationship or not in relationship at I think a lot of the points that we will make today hit on a lot of things about why. But my experience down there, being able to go from one location to the other, being able to kind of just be at ease with whatever you want, being able to understand that your money goes a long way, being able to go understand that a lot of people are looking at dating a little bit differently than they do here in the United States. It is something that could intrigue you to go down and do. Especially as a single person, as a single Black male in your 40s and 50s, and you are looking for some really, really good times, you should step out. You should go abroad. You should go to Italy. You should go to the DR. You should go to Colombia. You should go to Japan. You should go to Bali. You should go to Thailand. You should go to these places that basically not only have culture, but are very welcoming to us Black people, right? So definitely that was my experience, or some part of my experience. I
Yeah.
applaud those gentlemen that are over there. A lot of them are over there for different reasons, some of which we'll get into today. And then a lot of them are over there, like I said, they bought family with them. They came over there with family, and they're
Yeah.
raising their kids over there. So I think, when we think about just this topic, what comes to mind to me at most is that majority of these brothers had gone because in some ways they were looking for a new change. Right?
Yeah.
And
What you mean a new change? How you define a new change? What that mean?
as they defined the new change was basically a scenery away from their normal scenery of dating. And when I think about it like that, they could be possibly talking about not dating Black women, if I can be specific, right? I know a lot of them did not in some ways allude 100% to that, but when you start listening to words and how people say things to you, you understand that that is exactly what they're saying. A lot of them did say that too, directly, and it's just what it is. So my question to you all at this point in time, I know both of you all are married, but both of you all have been outside and abroad. I want to know from you all, what do you think about this? Like, not even just so much the dating, but if we just talk about the dating for a little bit, what do you think about this? What do you think could be some of the reasons why Black men in their 40s and 50s, or Black men even not, would be so intrigued by going abroad?
See, it's time to tell the truth and shame the devil for once. See, the reason why a lot of these passport bros like running overseas, hooking up with these women in third world countries, is because they like suppressed women. They like suppressed and oppressed women. And see, a lot of these third world countries, they still stuck on these 1910, 1920, 1930, 40, 50, 60 laws where women really don't have rights, women don't have a voice. It's not because these women are better. It's not because those women are more traditional and softer and all this other stuff. No, those women in those third world countries don't have rights. And a lot of these little revenge of the nerd incel men like to hop in a little time machine with their passport. And, just like in Family Matters, y'all know Steve Urkel, when he used to say, "Hi, Laura." And then when he got in that machine and he turned into Stefan, had his chest poked out. That's what a lot of these incel revenge of the nerd men do. They go overseas and they got their little $30, their little $40. See? You want to have a good time, do ya?
Cause it's easy. I mean, that's me. I'm gonna just be real. I just came back from Atlanta. I used to live in Atlanta, and it's like, dating now is not easy, especially for a Black man making under six figures. Right? It's not easy here in the States, and I think we go over to different countries. We travel abroad for the fact that I feel as though they treat us differently. They treat us, with the level of respect that doesn't have to be purchased. And I think over here, Black men have to purchase. They have to pay for respect in ways that are not really necessary over abroad. I'm just being honest. It's just easier to become a part of the fabric, to be received. Especially just depending on where you at in your life. And I think that's the main reason why Black brothers go over there. They just like, I just wanna be respected and admired and appreciated, and not have to spend my whole bank account to get it.
Man,
that's my take on it.
What does that look like? What does that look like? Like I'm gonna ask you, Chris. Now I hear what you're saying, Jay. I don't know if I agree with it 100%, but it could be a difference of opinion, because I see a lot of brothers going over there and spending tons, what I would think is tons of dollars. Now it may be a difference between spending it in the United States and spending it over there, but definitely I saw a couple of brothers where I was, and they were purchasing women.
It's come to my attention that we got a lot more American brothers coming down here, want to be a part of the passport brethren movement. And that's great and everything, but y'all gotta calm down. Mind you, rent $30. You know what I'm saying? But y'all blowing the bag. Y'all acting like y'all at Magic City. Y'all acting like y'all at King of Diamonds. Y'all making it rain out here, and y'all messing up the ecosystem that we have set up. The American dollar go a long way down here, but when y'all over here flexed up, like you come down here and want to be Papi Dinero, and now they expectations spending bands, $2,000-$3,000 on these girls. So now they think that's normal.
So I'm just saying, you see what I'm saying? Like, what I mean is, and Chris, maybe you can come a little bit, on this question, not so much just on that, but think about where I'm coming from with that too. Cause Jay, you right. They were thinking about the easiness of the thing, but they was also thinking about the easiness of the thing.
Sure.
Well, look,
that's real.
I'll throw this out there. I don't know nothing about purchasing women in this country, in another country, none of that. Like that's so far away from the way I live that I don't know that I have much to say. But I will say when we were doing some of the research on this, so one of the things that really stood out to me was like one of the Pew research surveys that went out there that said like 65% of Black men ages 40 to 59, which is essentially that dynamic that we're talking about, report being satisfied with the U.S. dating scene, right? And like 38% of those men have talked about being intrigued with the idea of being able to go and date abroad. I mean, that's one of the things to me, like as I was listening to you all talk, that definitely popped in my mind, like, wow, that's interesting. But then to jump into the other piece, so we start talking about like that quality of life and the standard of living, the amount of money that it takes to live comfortably here versus abroad. That was one of those other things we started looking into. Housing is one of those things, right? Because you talked about not just going down there to visit, but you were down there living for 3-4 months or whatever it was, right? So when you think about things like rent, being able to go to a nice spot in Mexico. So when you think about like all the people that are expatriating right now, because there are a lot for a lot of different reasons, you start looking at the housing prices down there, you can find something real comfortable for like $600 to $1,000 a month versus here in the United States to live comfortably in a place that's decent. We're talking at least $2,000. So like at least 2 to 3 times the amount that you can do that living abroad. Groceries are another thing. You can go to one of these countries and live like $200 to $300 a month and be living well. We know that here, you can't really do that with the pricing of groceries and all the things that are out there. Utilities is another thing. Your cable, your phone, your internet, like all of that. You can go abroad and we're talking sub $200. I'm paying 200 plus just for my internet and my phone. You know what I mean? Like, let alone throw in cable and all that stuff. Again, when you really start thinking about your money being able to stretch, and then also thinking about where we are as Black men, like we know when you look at all the economic data that's out there, we don't make as much as some of our counterparts make. Even if we're doing 2 or 3 times the work, that's just what it is. So if you're feeling that economic pressure here, and like Jay was just saying, and you're trying to purchase that love, whether it's like purchasing love or purchasing love, like whichever way you want to look at it, you can go down there and not have to spend as much to have a better quality of life in that sense.
Well, I think too, to your point, I want to keep coming back to what I said because it's easy. Now,
It's easy.
you can take that across the whole spectrum. It ain't gotta just be around, this and that, the poom poom, whatever the case may be. That's there, but that's here too. So it's like, I get it.
is.
At the same time, like you said, it's easier to breathe. It's easier to be you. It's easier to just like let all that stress that comes with being in the States, and then also the stresses that come with being a Black man trying to really be a Black king to your Black women. It's like all that is stress and can be heavy, and it ain't easy. It's, you know what I'm saying, depending on where you at socioeconomically. And I think also too with this internet dating thing that we got going on, where this weird science piece where we've made up this type of woman that really is not attainable. Like when you get off of social media and then you start to get to the realness, it's like that ain't like the person you seeing in these areas ain't the person you really want to be with every day. And the person that you want to be with every day ain't gonna necessarily be easy to be with, because that means you're gonna have to stretch and grow in ways that we'll talk about a little bit as well.
You know, I hear what you all are saying, but for you all that are listening to us right now, in the comments, what I want you to do is drop your reason. Why do you think that Black men over 40 and 50 are going and living abroad? Go ahead, take a stab at it right now. Everything that you all are saying is on point. I really understand it. And Jay, although in some of those points I was saying a little bit different, I think all of it is together. All of it definitely rolls
Sure.
together. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I think also though, let's think about the guys that are just going over there just to be there, right? Now, I will
Mhm.
say this. A lot of us have the intentions of, being accountable, but some of us probably are not. Just being honest, right? I know I've talked about my struggles early on in my life and how that was, and I could easily see if I had the luxury of living overseas, me doing that so that I can escape some of the responsibilities that I have right now and avoid them.
Wow.
And there's a possibility that I feel like, some of us black men, even in our 40s and 50s, are doing that same thing.
Mm.
You know,
For
I,
sure.
I,
For sure.
you
For
you
sure.
think about some places that like Chris, you were saying, even in Mexico, like you were saying, being able to eat under $200 a month, that definitely was me. I was pretty much $40 a week, if that.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
when you think about
And
just the
eating
ease,
good.
Right.
eating good, bro, because listen, let me tell you,
Yeah.
over there by that mega, them tacos over there by the mega, them the best tacos ever. If
Yeah.
and what I'm talking about, if you know, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 But
Yeah.
I mean, when we think about just some of the things that we would go over and move for,
Mm.
I also look at the racial discrimination piece of
Ooh.
this. When I can go somewhere and I don't have to always be the black guy, I can just be a human. I think that's substantial. Chris,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that we talked about this before recently in just like a pre-show, but give me, I know you have some information that you want to share just a little bit about this, because when we were talking about it, you were a little amped up. So I would like to hear your opinion around this too.
Yeah, yeah. Like that was one of those things. Again, just trying to think about the reasons that people are going abroad like that. And there's no question that some of it is about what's going on in our country right now. It's been going on forever, but it's definitely one of those things that's intensified over the last 4 or 5 years, but especially since a certain someone came into office. Like we're really
Hmm.
feeling that in a way. And you look at the
Sure.
number of black folks, not just black men, but black folks in general that are thinking about expatriating in part for that reason. And it gets at what you were saying, like wanting to go someplace where you don't automatically have to feel like you're a second class citizen. So I have not lived abroad. But as I hear people talk about that, what it makes me think about the first 40 years of my life, grew up in Chicago, went to college in Massachusetts, came and lived in Ohio for a couple of years, went back to Massachusetts for a couple of years, lived in New York City for a while, lived in DC for a while, went back to Ohio and spent 12 years there with my family when we were getting going before we moved out here to LA in 2012. And I remember when I moved out here, a black woman friend of mine who worked at the same place where I work right now was telling me, she's like, hey, you don't understand what this really means, but I'm gonna tell it to you because it's gonna make sense at some point. You're gonna come out here to LA and it's just gonna feel different. You're not gonna have to wear that armor in the same way that you've had to wear everywhere else. It made sense to me in my mind, but not in my heart because it was nothing I'd ever experienced before. So when I moved out here, I started to understand what she meant. And it's not that being out here in LA is completely equal. I'm not trying to sit here and say that, but I also know like I don't feel that same thing that you feel everywhere else. And when I go back east or when I go south or to the Midwest, wherever it is, the moment I get off the plane, I can tell that I'm falling back into that same space and being seen in a way that I've been seen for my first 40 years. And I don't want to put myself back in that if I don't have to. So the idea of like living in LA for the rest of my life, I always tell people I will do this if we can afford to live here because I don't have to wear that armor the same way. And just
Mm.
mentally and psychologically, the ease of doing that is something that means a whole lot to me. So when I think about the people who aren't just saying, hey, I want to move to LA, I'm going completely out of the country because they feel like they can feel it even more. That's something
Mm.
that's intriguing to me and something I think I can understand. Like what was one of the other stats we were looking at? Was it in Ghana?
Yeah.
They've given out
Five
citizenship to like
over. Oh
524.
yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So like it's one of those things. People are looking to be able to go someplace that they can call home and where they feel like I can go and be a part of something and be seen in a whole way. The other place it takes me to, and this is something we talked about like way long episodes ago, and this is Wayno, Jay, like Jay's
Sure.
real
And
good friend
Zim.
that he played soccer with, and we talked about it before, a brother from Zimbabwe, where he
Hmm.
came over here going to this tiny college in Ohio, and we're asking him like, man, here I am thinking we were saving his life by taking this brother out of this poor village and bringing him here, and he's looking at me like, dude, I came here to try and save the African American mind. And it blew my mind when he told me that. But as I've gotten older, it's one of those things I understand. Black folks who come from abroad see themselves in a way that is hard for us to do because we've grown up in a system where we have been
Yes.
taught that we are less than. And there's so much that we have to try to overcome, and the messages that we have to intentionally feed ourselves to make sure we understand that we're not less than. When you've grown up without that, it's not about what you have materially, it's about what you have up here. And that's a lot more powerful than a lot of stuff that we have here. So again, I think there are a lot of us that as we're getting older, we're like, I am tired of living up under what all of this is. And they're deciding to go somewhere else so they can have that level of freedom.
So you hit on a couple of things, and I wanted to share thoughts on some of them. The experience that you're able to have as an LA resident and as a LA Black male resident is much different than a lot of other people, right? So like you're able to experience LA with a certain level of affluence that makes it easier for you than someone else. I think about other people that live in LA that I know, they ain't got the same experience. You know what I mean? So it's like when you think about those other people, they're having to go to other places to feel the same way you're feeling.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So don't lose sight of that when you say how you feel it, cause my uncle live in LA, and it ain't always easy being a Black male in LA either.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's easy.
Depending on
I'm definitely not saying it's easy.
yeah, but I feel you. I'm not trying to take away, but I'm just like giving a different perspective on that too. And I'm also thinking about, like just the ease that comes with when you do travel someplace else. No matter how much money you got in your pocket, it's like the stresses are just like, we talk about the stress that you feel just coming into Chicago, coming into New York, coming into these places that before I even get off this plane, I'm gonna have to dig in my pocket. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, if you're dating in these areas, you got women that are like, yeah, I want some of that too. So it's like, dang, I got to do all this just to show up. But if I go abroad, I ain't necessarily got to do that. I can pick and choose. I can figure out where I want to invest before somebody just pulls it away from me like that. So I think all these different things are going into that easiness when it comes to why these passport bros are growing. I can't help but think about the times that we've been to DR, my boys, we've been to, I've been abroad to some of these places that you mentioned, and it's just Black men and all at the airport. Like droves of Black men just like excited to be able to come and be here and get exposure to some of these places and some of these people that aren't going to put the same stresses on them than where they live.
Well, let me.
It's
Go ahead.
controversial. It's controversial though, because here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna take this route. So from a brother that's moving from here to, like, let's say Medellin, and they just recently got divorced, and if this person says, "I finally feel seen," what is that? What is right? Flip that perspective, a Black woman's perspective, and her ex left the country instead of facing his own growth. Instead of being with her, he decided that, I'm not going to continue with this Black woman. I'm going to go and do something else. Aren't these signs of inaccountability? Is that not what that is? Cuz I'm just going to be straight up. I'm just going to be straight up. I'm not trying to run from that. I'm not trying to run for that reason. I can understand it, but I'm not trying to run for that reason. I understand in some ways how Black women have this moniker of being strong all the time and all of this other stuff, but I just don't know if all of them want to be that all the time, or all of them want to take on,
they don't.
that situation. I think it's the same. When I think about my community overseas in Mexico, there's a lot of single Black women that were there too.
Sure.
So,
sure.
I mean, it could be for the same reasons, right?
It could be for the same reason, yeah.
Coming back to us Black men, I'm just looking at those two little kind of little situations that I put together, and I'm thinking to myself, these could be the reasons too, fellas.
Yeah.
Are we feeling? Are we running away from something directly that we know because we don't want to? That's right. To your point, it's easy. I don't want to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? She nagging, she doing this, she doing all that. I don't want that. Is that the way to go though?
Are the passport bros correct about the women being more feminine out in Colombia than they are in America? Absolutely. 100%. When it comes to femininity, y'all bitches out here basically look like niggas, okay? However, none of that shit means shit if you still a mark-ass nigga in America.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing.
And I think you got 3 brothers on right here, 40/50 Social Club that would say, no, that's not the way to go. Because if you're not growing, what are you here for? Like, you're dying, you know? But I feel like, is there something in between? I'm not saying like, these cats are going over there and maybe they finding somebody that's still gonna stretch them in ways that maybe it's just a softer landing. I don't know, but I totally agree with you. Like, I don't think that that's the way go. I feel as though it's an easier path. But, you got to also recognize, well, maybe this person has been in a relationship or been married where it was hard. And they feel as though that they didn't stretch as much as they could possibly stretch, and they don't want to stretch no more. And they reached a place financially where they're like, you know what? I just want to be me. I've stretched enough and I've reached the pinnacle of my stretch. And so I'm going to go over here and let somebody else appreciate all this growth. So I think we got to think about it too. Like, we don't know.
American women didn't want me, so I came to the jungles of Latin America, met the real Pocahontas, and got a woman that looks way better than any of these salty girls that are going to be commenting on this Instagram post. And I'm teaching all my brothers, if you're not being appreciated in your home country, the problem probably isn't you. You need to get your passport. And even though these American women didn't want me, believe me, the feeling was mutual. Because when I could have this right here, why on earth would I want an American woman?
Man, I think it's one thing. We talking about this.
I know where you about to go.
I'm like, we talking about, passport bros and all this other stuff. And, but I'm like, if you ugly, man, if you having a hard time here in the States, maybe it behooves you to go abroad and do your thing, because you just ain't got it over here like that. So, we not discounting the brothers that just need to go abroad because they can't really cut the mustard over here, if you know what I'm saying. So I think there's that piece. That's that piece too that we can't really, negate and exclude from the conversation.
That's
so
real.
Just wanted to throw that in there.
Scale of 1 to 10 here, you could be a 3. You can go somewhere else, you can be 8, 9, 10. You know what I mean?
You a 14.
I ain't mad at that, bro. I ain't mad.
You a 14. You a 14.
I ain't mad.
You start getting to the airport recognizing, oh man, all the brothers
Go be a
at the
king,
airport.
my man. Go be a king. I ain't mad at that.
Go get that. Go. You go ahead, little ugly. Little ugly. You take your cell phone over there.
What you say, little ugly?
See him. Little ugly. You go ahead on over there. You see him, and you do your thing, okay?
You got me.
Us on over here, we gonna worry about these problems over there. You ain't gonna have these problems no more.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. It's one of those to me where it's like, I don't know who I am to be able to judge that for somebody else because I haven't lived in your shoes, right? So like there's some people that tend to see it as being one of two things. And it's restating the things we've said. Some people are going to say, hey, I as a black man am finally in a position where I can take control of my options in life. Like I have an opportunity to do this. What's wrong with me doing that? If this is what I think is going to produce fulfillment and happiness for me. The other side of that is people that are like, yeah, but as you're doing that, you're abandoning all of our sisters over here in the U.S. Regardless of what you think is going on with the person, it really is up to them. When they look in the mirror, what are they seeing? What's the reason that they want to go? So to me, it's like, hey, live and let live. You got to do your thing. But I know that for myself, if that were the kind of thing that I would do, I would feel like for me, it would be running from the challenge. And I do know that in my relationship, I have been married forever now at this point. And in my relationship, I have been, it feels like it in all the best ways, but like,
in all the good
it's
ways,
definitely been a challenge. It has been the hardest thing that I think I have ever done, but it's also been probably the most fulfilling thing I've ever done.
Rewarding.
If there is a thing that challenges that for being most fulfilling, is being a parent to 2 black women. you know, and like helping to raise them and make sure that they see themselves for the beautiful people they are. So the idea that there are going to be some brothers that are fleeing the country because they don't want to deal with them, I know that there's a part of me that's like, man, you don't want a brother that's that weak anyway. But I have to stop myself from saying that because, like I said, I haven't walked in that brother's shoes. I don't know what he's been through. Like you said, Jay, maybe he's been through so much already. He's like, man, I have put in all the time I needed. It's time for me to take a break and have some rest. So it's all up to what they want to do.
Everybody ain't cordial. Everybody ain't healed. Everybody ain't okay, right? Everybody's just not okay. And for us to think that everybody's just okay, that's the myth. That's the myth. That's the myth, right? We think about our brothers in the 40s and 50s. We know what we were going through in the 90s. We know what we were going through in the early 2000s and what was happening there. Things have changed with the implementation of all of the technology. And when we look at stuff like that, being able to get onto stuff like that, we're thinking about ourselves in the light of who am I now? And what the hell am I doing? And this is what I want to do. So I'm going to go do that regardless. And in saying that, it's me saying also, listen, if I'm not in the right space in my mind to where I'm ready to work through something, then I might just go. I might just go because I might just do that. I might not need that from you. I might not need that from anyone else. I'm getting this bag. It allows me to move like I want to move, and I'm about to move out the country. And if that means that I'm going to slide down to Mexico or Panama or Ghana or Bali or Thailand, and at that point in time, I'm going to flex a little bit, not only of my muscle, but I'm going to flex a little bit of my money too, then why not? And I know there's guys out there that are able to say that with no problems. And you know what? I got it. I'm good with that.
Right.
Because
like, who am I to judge?
I can't judge that. At the same time, I ask them also, take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back and identify if this is exactly what you're doing for you. And if it is, by all means, continue, right? But if you take that step back and you look at it and you say, I wasn't healed. I wasn't in the same mind frame that I may be in right now. Let me look back at this and see. And if I still feel the same way in some ways, I can be here and do this and also, you know, compromise that type of situation, then I feel at that point in time, you know, I need to change it up. I need to figure that out.
You're going to a foreign country, correct? Where you don't know the culture. You don't know the type of woman that they're there. You don't know who they're affiliated with. You don't know if they're with a gang or with the cartel or whatever. You know that they're poor. You know they don't got that much money. So you want to take advantage of them. You're like, oh yeah, I'll give her a couple $100. She'll do whatever. Like, come on, bro. Even though she's putting herself out there at the same time, it's just, bro, that doesn't mean you should like do it. I get it that it's available, but why would you do that? Have some discipline. And also, you don't know if she's got HIV. You don't know who she's been with. You don't know how many shifts she's clocked in that day. You know? So why are you're going to a foreign country where you couldn't even do it here because you're such a bum, so you gotta go do it over there. Come on, man. I genuinely want to see you grow. I want to see you get ahead. And if you want to get ahead, if you actually give a damn about your life, you would never do that type of stuff. Because it's such a waste of time and energy. It's disgusting. And you're proving to your subconscious mind that you are just a loser. You're just a loser. So how about you use that money of going to a trip just solely to sleep around and be a degenerate and just, I don't know, focus on your life.
Man, I can't help but think about, you know, because me and Babe talk about goals of being global citizens, you know, once our daughter graduates from high school, and that is like super top high priority, you know, and I feel like, you know, we have experienced so many things over the course of our life, but how awesome would it be to be passport homies with your partner? You know what I'm saying? Like to be able to be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, it's all about what you've experienced and what you want to experience, but I want to evolve and we want to evolve where we passport homies, you know, and we living together and we traveling together and we doing life together. Cause being here right now is not it, you know? And so I have a higher respect for passport bros that are like, yo, I'm going because I want to figure something else out. Cause this right here is not what's fulfilling for me, you know? And I think I have a higher level of respect for that versus somebody that's just like, well, I'm gonna go over here and trick off and, you know, do my thing. That's cool, but to me, that's short-lived, you know, and I think it's all about living a life that's full.
Yeah.
So that's my last take on how I feel about the whole thing.
Yeah,
Wow, that's really
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I was
yeah,
just gonna
yeah.
say too, I know we're focused more on this 40, 50-year-old black man, but I'm thinking
Yeah,
about two cats, older cats that I know who have both made decisions about like living abroad in ways that really got me to expand my thinking on it. One of them years ago, still lives here in the States, actually lives out in the DC area, but bought himself a condo down in Brazil. And, you
nice.
know, it goes down. So it's not, he's not living in Brazil most of the year yet. Like I think eventually he may wind up doing that, but he has a place down there. And so he has developed a community down there. He has a
That's so
neighborhood that
Yeah,
he is a part of. He's got
yeah,
friends. He's got an expat community. He's got people who are Brazilian that he's
yes,
gotten really cool with. And so he's living in two countries in that way in a really kind of cool way. And so he was the first one that really started talking to me about trying to do something like that. Like even if I'm doing that with a family, having a property somewhere else that you can afford, let that thing appreciate or do whatever it is, but then you can also get away from this and go escape for a while. So it doesn't have to be one of those things where you completely do it. But I also think about a cat that I know out here who was in the TV movie industry, that kind of thing. Made a decent living for himself for sure, but he retired. He's like, yeah, I'm moving to Mexico. Moved down
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Gosh, it's probably been 12 years ago now. Hasn't looked back. And he's
yeah,
talking about how his money is going to stretch. You know, in his retirement, he's on fixed income and he can do all this right now. He sends me pictures at least like once every couple of weeks. I'm like, man, he is living a really nice lifestyle down there, you
listen,
know?
yeah.
And then when you think
Mexico is
about, like, I
dope.
know we were also looking at some of the data too, when you think about like the percentage of people who are thinking about doing it, so like really interested in living abroad, what was it like? 34% of Black Americans that decided like in 2024 that they would like to live abroad. And that's up
yep,
10% over what it was like 30, 40 years ago. You know, so again, there are a
yeah,
Sure.
lot of things that are happening there. But like you said, becoming more global citizens in that way, that's something to be respected. And we also know like the larger your world is, the more that you encounter, the more proximity you have with something other than yourself, the more fulfilling and full your life can be. So again, I think there are plenty of really noble and great reasons for doing it. But I'm also not here to judge those who are doing it for reasons that, if for my
yeah.
own self, I would consider to be small.
You
That's
know,
what's up. That's
we
what's up.
all have our opportunities to enjoy outside of the United States. I, for one, and I think the rest of the brothers here would definitely encourage you to step outside of the United States and enjoy
Absolutely.
the other countries and the other sceneries. You know, when we started off talking about my ventures in Mexico and abroad, I've been to several other countries as much as you guys have. Will say that my time living abroad was amazing. If it was up
Yeah,
to me, I probably would right now not be here with you all right now. But we having this podcast from Panama, from
that's what's
Mexico,
up.
from Africa, one of those places I would be in
Come
right
on with
now
it.
and
Let's
just
manifest it.
living. And it's
I
not
like it.
something that is out of what I would do even coming up recently. So I
Mm,
know that we are about to leave you all, but what we want you to do again is hit the comments. What
mm,
would you do? Where would
yeah.
you go?
Mm,
Share your experience with us. Write
mm,
in our comments now about your experiences abroad. Tell us a little bit more about being a person who has gone abroad. But not only that, for our Black males that are following us, tell me about your experiences
mm.
about being a Black male abroad. It's the
That's
4050
what's up.
Social Club.
That's
On
what's up.
behalf of Jamie, Chris, and myself, thank you all for sharing with us tonight.
Amen.
All right, well, holla at you. Peace.
I hope you had a great time with us here today on the 4050 Social Club. Click the like button below if something today caught your attention and you want to hear and see more. And follow us on our social media platforms that are below. Until we meet again, we hope that you found this healthy and helpful towards making these years the best years of your life.